Hello, welcome back to the channel, and if it's your first time, warm welcome. So as you have seen in the title of this video, why return is not interest rate, I'm going to answer to that question simply talking about interest rate. If you remember in the previous video, I mentioned this sentence saying that return is not interest rate, because we were talking about just what return is. I would like, even before continuing, to ask you before watching this video to go and watch the previous videos, because there are some terms that we are going to use in these videos which have been mentioned in the previous ones. So let's have a look now to what interest rate is. So you remember now we are in the market where we have sellers and buyers, and in the market, when the product to sell is now the money, so we call the seller just the borrower, and there is someone who wants to buy that money, and he's a lender. And usually the lender charges a certain percentage. Just so you buy your money or you borrow the money and you bring it back after a certain period with a certain percentage more to what you have borrowed. And that percentage is known as interest rate. It's what we call just interest rate. So often the interest rate, it's a number percentage, it's a percentage which is just expressed annually. Just when we mention a number, it means we don't say it's per year, but often we understand that it's per year. If not, we have to mention the period. So why interest rate exists? So there are many reasons, but one of them is this concept from economics, which is time value of money. And this time value of money, it's a financial concept that says that the amount of money today is worth more than the same amount in the future. Which means if you have like 1 million, what you can buy with 1 million today, you cannot buy it with 1 million in 5 years coming. That's something that all of us we know. 1 kilo of sugar, in 3 years it will not be the same price as it is. For sure the price will be higher than today. That's why we have there is this concept, time value of money, and where it's related to inflation. There are different things, but we are not going to enter into the details here. Just we have to understand that interest rate must exist. Usually I tell some of my friends that you must use your money to make more money if you want your money to stay with you. That is the reality. We cannot escape this. And the good thing is that we have a solution. Just we can make investment if we want our money to stay with us, because making an investment is in the market. It's becoming a seller just to find something to sell, or simply just use your money to make more money. I mentioned some lazy asset where you can, for example, you make a savings account in the bank, you are giving the money to the bank and you tell them, I'm not going to use this money for, let's say, 2 years, 5 years, and then the bank will give you some interest rate. That means your money will grow, even if you will do nothing, just to make a deposit, but the bank also will use it to make more money, because if they give you an interest rate, let's say 8, someone who is going to borrow your money through the bank is going to pay more than 8, and the bank is going to make a profit just in between. So this interest rate, which is expressed annually, it's just known as simple interest rate. For the next, we are going to use letter R to mention the interest rate. So now let's say we borrow the money with interest rate equal to 6%. This means that at the end of 1 year, we are going to pay back 106 if we have borrowed 100. If we have borrowed a different amount, not 100, we can see some examples here in this table. Just if you borrow 100 for this interest rate, 6%, after 1 year, it means you are going to pay back, final payment is 106. If you have borrowed 500, you are going to pay back 530, because this 30 is the same as 6% of 500. That means it's 6 for every 100, and we have 500. That means it's 6 times 5, which is 30. If you have borrowed 1,000, you are going to pay back 1,060. If you have borrowed just 3 million after 1 year with interest rate 6%, you are going to pay back 3,180,000, because in 3 millions we have 30,000 hundreds. So these 30,000 100 times 6, so 30,000 times 6 is equal to 180,000, which is the interest or the profit that has been generated from these 3 million. So you are going to pay back something. So as you can see, 6, 30, 60, 180,000. So it's the same interest rate, but they are different because the initial amount borrowed is different. Because here we have 100, you cannot compare it to 3 millions. But these 6 versus 100 and these 60 versus 1,000, you understand that if it's 10,000, it will be 600. If it's 100, it will be 6,000, and so on. So we can simply write this using a formula for simple interest, where we see that the final payment, just this one, PT, is going to be just the initial, like say initial principal, P0. Usually for time we say when we are starting, we use index 0 times 1 plus interest rate. For example, this 6%, in this case it would be 0.06. So let's have a look at another example, practical example. Like here you save the money in a savings account that pays interest rate 8%. That means it will give you 8,000 for every 100,000 you have kept after 1 year. It's same as this, but 6, here we have 8, we put in the savings account, you put 100,000 for this interest rate, you end up with 108,000. And the good thing here for this savings account, it is that usually they are using what we call compound interest, which is a powerful tool that I like this a lot. This compound interest, it is just like simple interest rate, but it is paid on the original principal and its accumulated interest. I hope that this is clear. Just you put some initial principal, it will, after 1 year, it will generate some interest, and for the second year, it's like the principal now you have, it is the interest and the original principal combined. So let's have a look on our savings account with interest rate. The previous example, 8%. For 1 year, just you start with 100,000. At the end of 1 year, you get 108,000. So the profit you have made is 8,000. After 2 years, you have 116,640. It's not, you see, 8,000 times 2 is 16, but you see there is 640 more. Why this? It's because now when we are starting the second year, it's like we are starting a new year, but without starting from 100. Now we are starting with 180, which is the initial and its corresponding interest from the first year, and we are going to end up with this profit. Now you see it is now more than 8,000. In the third year, we are going to do the same. Now starting the third year with the ending of or second year, which is 116,640. Then we end up with 125,971.2. So you see now the profit, how it is now changing. Instead of being 8,000, now we have 9,331. So you continue 4 years, 5 years, up to 10 years. You see now we are making, after 10 years, we are growing to up to 15,992. You see the return, if you compute the return for each year, it's constant here, because it's a what we call, it's a riskless asset, because it's the interest in the beginning. That's how these lazy assets work. You know how you will make, you are sure, even if often this 8% is small amount. So, but you see, after 10 years, you have almost doubled your amount. The initial or original principal 100,000, it's almost now just 200,000. After 2 years, you doubled and you have done nothing. Just not what you have done is not to touch on your money. This compound interest is something really interesting, and I hope you understand how it works. So now let's have a look on this beautiful compound interest formula. So we assume that we have the initial principal P0 and the interest rate, which is fixed. We are going to use letter R. After 1 year, the compound interest and the simple interest, they have the same formula. Just P1, that the money you have after 1 year, is equal to P0 times 1 plus interest rate. This is the same for both simple and compound. Then after 2 years, you see P2, it's like P1 times 1 plus interest rate, like the money you obtained, you get at the end of the first year. This one is like the initial investment from the beginning of the second year. And you will see that P1 times 1 plus R is the same as P0 1 plus R, because P1, we have seen that it is equal to P0 1 plus R, which is here. P0 1 plus R times now 1 plus R here. And these two, they can simply be written as 1 plus R squared. So P2 is equal to P0 times 1 plus R squared. After 3 years, we do the same. P3 is P2 plus P2 times interest rate, or simply P2 times 1 plus interest rate. And we know what is P2, because here after 2 years we have seen that P2 is equal to this one. So we can plug it here and have this is P2 times 1 plus interest rate, and 1 plus R, this is a mistake here, it should be R. 1 plus R squared times 1 plus R is equal to P0 1 plus R cubic. So we continue after a certain number of years, let's say n years, 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years, you will have now Pn is going to be simply P0, your initial principal, times 1 plus interest rate power the number of years. You see how beautiful this formula is. It's a simple formula, but it's really powerful. So I can end this video here, but I hope you understand what is simple interest rate and compound interest rate. And for those who want to go further, you can have a look on these formulas related to various rate of return. And as you remember, this is just for classrooms, for students who want to go further, not really normal investors who are just want to make money faster without a lot of mathematics, a lot of calculations. But this is also important. You will see that these various rates of return, this one it's like what we talked in the previous video about return. You remember, for return we have considered a period where we have the initial principal here P0, and the final principal, which is, let's say, P1, and then the return is just the final P1 minus the initial divided by the initial P0. And this, you remember, we have seen that it can be either positive in case P1 is greater than P0, it can be 0 in case both they are equal, or it can be even negative if the original principal, our P0, is higher than P1. You see the numerator is going to be a negative, while for the interest rate we have seen that it's a fixed number at the beginning. When you are borrowing the money, just the interest rate is fixed and it is positive. In some cases you can have a negative one, but we are assuming up here that our interest rate is positive. So, but there are some cases where the return, something is considered. We have not yet talked about the dividends, but if we consider dividend D, now the return is going to be just like this one, plus we add the dividend D1 or D. So we are going to use this formula. In case we are considering also taxes, so then that means after taxes we have this one times you see there are dividends involved, but these TJ and T0, these are just related to taxes, but we will enter into these in details just when we will talk about taxes effects or dividends. But simply I want to mention to show you that there are other different types of returns more than the formula we have seen in the previous video, this one, but these also will be talked in the next videos when we will need them as tools. Yeah, we have more above these simple and compound interest rate. There are what we call discrete compounded return and continuously compounded return. What I mentioned in these slides, just we will discuss about these in details in the future in the other videos, but up to now just keep the formulas or how the simple interest rate and compound interest rate work. And thank you for watching until the end, and as usual, once again, I wish you love and money, and please remember to hit the subscribe button and share also these videos. See you next time. Bye.